Hey guys, Popo Joe Explode. Today I come to you with a review of the Pieta Smith Cavalry Carbine. This is by far my favorite carbine from the Civil War era, because essentially it's not too well known by a lot of people, and everybody talks about the Spencer or the Sharps. They were more popular back then, but there's just something about this little carbine that its simplicity is just I like something about it. Now it is a cap lock firearm. The thing is, instead of being a muzzle loader, it's actually a breech loader. If you push right here, it opens up like so. Push this little plunger out that moves this spring, and of course exposes the chamber. And you take your round, you throw your round in, close it up, cap it off, full cock it, shoot. So it was designed in the early 1850s. The patent went through in 1857 by Dr. Smith. Apparently the U.S. Army was looking for some carbines to be used on horseback by the cavalry, and there was many firearms that made the list, including the Sharps. I believe it's the 1853 model, and this one. Prior to the Civil War, this was used by the United States Cavalry, just as the war was getting started. So a bunch of these were actually bought by the United States government. There was this is, I believe, the third or the fourth most popular carbine that the Union bought. So it definitely served with just a few units, but it was something like 37,000 of these bought and issued. So I can tell you how many Spencers and how many Sharps were actually issued as well. But this one's very unique. This one actually used an ammunition that no one else used. They used well, this is more like a vinyl plastic, but they actually, in the originals, used a vulcanized rubber, an India rubber, very tough rubber case that the powder and bullet sat in. Now when you put the bullet in, the rubber will expand, creating a seal, and getting really good gas pressures out of it. Well, I don't have any rubber ones here today. I don't even know where to get those. But they do make these little plastic ones, and these supposedly are supposed to act the same, and they're reusable. And I've shot them a few times through this in the previous video, and they work really well. I believe the original load was a 360 grain 52 caliber bullet with 50 grains of powder. The ones you can find now, you can find 52 caliber bullets. I believe you can get them from Dixie Gun Works for this gun, but they're pretty expensive, and I haven't found a mold for 52 caliber. However, I have found a mold for a 515 caliber Smith mold, specifically to make bullets for this gun. Now moving on to the barrel, see it's octagonal, it goes into a smooth. It actually has grooves of 515. They're very light grooves. They're not deep at all. So to really get the bullets to engage the rifling, you're gonna want somewhat of a slightly larger bullet, or one that's just dead on. This one right here is dead on. I did make some rounds with the Manet, a 50 caliber Manet, which is slightly under 50, but the skirt's supposed to expand through it. So we're gonna try that out today, as well as the 515 bullet, just to see which one grabs the best accuracy. using the same loads. Right now, as you can see, I've got both bullets loaded with 40 grains of powder, and this one is greased, just greased, pushed in, and it makes a good seal. It doesn't move around. However, if you put the Minet ball into the case, it does move around, so I actually had to put 2 layers of paper patching around, which will also help it to engage the rifling. So we'll just see what that does. But anyway, that's pretty much it. There is this right here, as you can see, it's got the cavalry sling loop right here. There's an artillery model that has the standard sling swivels, and you know, if that's more of your thing, but I'm a cavalry guy, so I gotta have the cavalry model. So that's kind of a little brief history and a you know, things that go with it. Takes musket caps. Doesn't take the number 11s, actually takes the full musket caps, because it's the flame has a little bit of a way to travel. Once it goes down through here, it's got to curve around and come out through here. Now the hole is kind of drilled back, so I guess when the flash goes, it actually turns around and creates a pressure to shoot straight forward, and that'll go straight forward into the little flash hole. So so musket caps are a must for this firearm. Plus, it's what they used back then. So now Pietta makes, from what I've read, a fairly accurate reproduction of this firearm. Just a few issues with it. Whereas the fit and finish of this gun is excellent. It does have the metal they use for the screws are a little soft with some bits. So if you're gonna unscrew some stuff on this gun, use an appropriate size screwdriver so that way you don't strip it. It's kind of one knack I have on it. Whereas it's all wood metal, there's really no plastic on this thing at all. It's case hardened, and it's just an overall well-built firearm. But another knack I have is the rear sight. Now, the rear sight leaf, it moves on its own. There's nothing there to kind of really put it in place, and it's not even marked, so I don't understand. And from what I understand, the originals were the exact same way. They're just kind of like, oh, let me see what this is. And I guess you hold it up while you shoot it. I don't know. I just know that for me, either you can put it straight down and shoot with the little notch here, or you can put it up and have a notch, but you can elevate the front sight post within the V. So that's kind of how I'm going to shoot it after shooting it before. I've also noticed that Pietta makes this firearm with an extremely low front sight post, so I've had to go and get a heightened brass front sight post from S&S firearms. They pretty much do with nothing but you know, black powder, Civil War reenacting, muskets, cap locks, flintlocks. So I went there after reading online where I can find these, and I got one. I installed it, which is fairly easy. You just knock out the other one and push the other one and hammer it in real slightly, and put a little bit of a little Loctite in there. So this thing's shooting at about nearly a foot and a half. Should now be brought right back down to where I can actually use the sights instead of having to aim super low, because the rear sight, it doesn't go any lower than that. Even with this, it still shoots incredibly too low. So getting the best I can describe it is, if this is the front sight post and this is the rear sight post, okay, and it's shooting real low like this, well, if I get a heightened sight post, I realign the rear sights with the front sights, keeping in mind that it's on a straight plane, well, that just brought the firearm lower. So, seeing how it's shooting high, we're going to test that out today. to see if that actually brought it back down, which I'm sure it will. I mean, I've heard good things off the internet from people who've bought the brass front sight posts. But overall, coming from the factory, Pieta did a pretty good job. I mean, there's a lot of people that say Pieta is, not the greatest. Their little finish is a little funky. They make things a little different. I've seen examples of all, and in fact, I actually got this out of the box absolutely filthy, like someone had shot it, and I had to do a little TLC on the inside with some surface rust in the barrel and a little bit of rust down in the bottom of my threads on my nipple. Had to He-Man it off, essentially. But it looked like someone at the factory had shot it, and then didn't do anything and just packaged it up. They kind of wiped down the outside, and that was it. God knows how long that was between then and now. But looked at the barrel. Thank God there was no pitting anywhere where the rust was found. I can tell you right now, it wasn't grease, it wasn't cosmoline, because it was definitely rust. I know what rust looks like, and I know what cosmoline looks like. I've dealt with plenty of Mosin Nagants in my time. So definitely a lot of fouling down in here, a lot of fouling. So it had most definitely been shot with all the carbon fouling and just not clean. That's the only really knack I have that when I got this gun. I mean, I paid $1,050 for it from Dixie Gun Works, and it kind of made me mad, that I got it in that condition when I paid that much money. So now I used to have had this gun back in like 2011, but I sold it for something else. I think it was a revolver or some sort, and always regretted it. Always regretted it. So overview, finish is good. Takes musket caps. The land grooves is 515 caliber. I have a 515 mold. I make my own bullets. Had to replace the front sight post. Rear sight doesn't really stay. But other than that, it's a beautiful weapon. It's got a very good history. Oh yeah, it was used by the Fenian Irish mercenary group or something like that went into Canada after the Civil War. A lot of these were bought by them, and a lot of them were handed over to the Pony Express. So even after the Civil War, it saw some service. And of course, it's always been a very popular civilian-owned firearm. Especially now, a lot more now than actually it was back in the 1870s. But yeah, guys. So Smith Cavalry Carbine from Pieta. I think Navy Arms also makes it. Uberti makes it. I just wish Pedersoli would have made one. Pedersoli doesn't make one, which I'm really surprised. But anyways, trying out the 2 loads today. 40 grains of powder. 515 caliber versus a 50 caliber Minet. We'll see which will be paper patch. We're going to see which one holds the best accuracy at 50 meters. And my money's on this. I'm gonna say this ain't gonna do bad, but my money's on this one right here. It's gonna engage the grooves a lot better. So, anyways, guys, that's a really brief review of this gun. I mean, it's a muzzle loader. It's not a muzzle loader, but it's a breech loader, black powder gun. There's not a whole lot to go into. It doesn't have a whole lot of features, but it doesn't need to, and that's the beauty of it. It just works. So anyways, guys, enough chit chat. Let's go ahead and get to the range.